So this week I just want to say a big thanks to Barak, the founder of Startup Istanbul. He did a wonderful piece recently around fake traction, and I think this is potentially a good place to cover today. So we're going to talk about traction, and the truth behind it, because I think one of the worst pieces of advice that I have come across from startups is to overinflate certain things that the investors know is not true. Um, so I'm going to take you through. I think Brack did a wonderful job of summarizing this, and I'll share the resource or the page to get that information after this video. But very quickly, I'm going to run through some examples, right? So one is don't put it in your partner program traps, right? Programs and partnerships, and HubSpot included. Don't put in your comments on LinkedIn or in your email newsletters that you're part of, HubSpot for startups, right? We've so many, in the case of Microsoft for startups example here, there's 40,000 startups in that one, right? That's not relevant, okay? So again, that's usually big tech will give you, API access or free resources or credits or something like that. That's not traction, right? Again, some of these awards that we put out there is sometimes it can be a bit of an illusion, right? Especially at the early stages, you think this is a really good thing to put into your messaging. It's absolutely not. What it is important is putting in what you guys do. So what's the pain point you solve is more important than startup of the year or again, something irrelevant, right? So talk about pain, talk about what you're trying to achieve, not about the things that you've done, right? Recognition trap, again, great personal branding, all this sort of stuff. But again, they're typically used more as red flags than green shoots, right? So young leader, rising star, 30 under 30, everyone is aware that you can pay for these, so they don't have as much value or as much gravitas as you think they would, right? Again, press versus profits. I'm a big believer in making this a magical formula. So again, linking in positives and negatives, right? Will doing a conference help you get your brand out there and get some good positive return on investment? Maybe. But it's making sure that when you're doing things, you're doing things with purpose. So if I have a TechCrunch article, make sure you're getting backlinks, right? Like what I talked about with LinkedIn, right? Building your personal brand, talking about the pain points that your customers are feeling and the reason why you're building your product and service is more important than just talking for the sake of talking, right? And then competition wins. So again, try and find the thing that will give you the best bang for your buck in terms of what will be the best revenue generator, right? Again, the pilot problem, right? This is again a simple thing is pilots are great, but they're not commitments, right? So make sure that what we're doing is when we are doing pilots that they're there for a reason, right? So what is the conversion rate from a pilot to a real customer? And in most terms of enterprise clients, it's 5:1. So again, I would be a bigger fan of charging a very nominal amount. So it could be $10, it could be $15 or whatever, and use that as a starting point to get people using the product, right? It's great having people using it, but if we're giving it away for free, people don't see value in it, and in turn, they don't use it, hence the 1 in 5 ratio. So be clever with what you're doing, right? Um, Meeting miracle. I love this one, right? 100 meetings equals 1 to 2 deals in enterprise sales. That is absolutely true. I had a sales manager, Ed Barrett, many years ago, so sales director many years ago, that said that your job was closing next steps, not revenue, right? So for interested, people are always going to be interested to get you off a phone or to stop you sending them 800 emails, right? Meetings does not equal sales. So again, until someone signs a contract, they are a dream, right? They are not a deal until they sign a contract. So be very, very clinical to what you're doing and always have scheduled, mutually agreed upon next steps in your calendar, right? Again, trade shows. To me, this is the greatest faux pas in the market, right? Um, is does it really matter if you're at the trade show and you've got a booth? In my opinion, no. Right? Unless you're doing it with a purpose like market validation, in terms of you're literally doing it as an opportunity to interview people, you're never going to get sales from trade shows, right? It's all about brand recognition, and for early stage startups, I would personally be using this as an opportunity to interview as many people as absolutely possible, take those learnings back, and then try and change or look at your product so that it fits what their needs are, right? And then again, downloads versus users, right? So this is a good example as well. 90% of users never open apps after 96% of users never open apps after 30 days. Really, really important, right? App stores are graveyards once they're downloaded. So how can we get them to use it, right? Downloads is great, but we really want to make sure that we've got monthly active or weekly active users. That is a metric we should be focusing on massively from start to finish. That is the question I will always ask any company I'm investing in. And then the free one, right? Again, my 2 cents on this is very, 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 very limited products in the free tools to get them to upgrade quicker, get them to use the tool. And again, you can see here, there's usually a 2 to 3% conversion rate for 10,000 users. If you are a startup and you're pushing users, you're likely going to have a really, really hard time converting them. So making sure that we don't just think of them as future revenue. They are there for a particular purpose. That purpose will be different depending on each business. But make sure that there is a purpose, right? And what is that purpose? The purpose is not future revenue, right? Don't fall into that trap. What is it that they are being used? User testing? Is it monthly active users? Like, what is it that you're trying to achieve with them, right? And then the waiting list, right? Waiting lists kill deals. Very few people that convert to a waiting list actually sign up to customers. So it's not necessarily commitment. There's usually a 1 to 2% conversion rate from this as well. So again, you can see there's a common trend here of somewhere between 1 and 3% conversion rates, right? These are the kind of myths that everyone tells you to do, which is essentially a black hole of fake news, right? So when we're doing this with a waiting list, just be prepared that they're not going to be high conversion rate. If you have 100 people that sign up, you're likely going to get 1 or 2 customers at a stretch, right? But again, it's better than having nothing, and potentially I would early stage startup, I would be using these people for interviews. What made you not want to convert after you signed up initially? Was it the time it took? Was it the time from the sign up to when I reached out to you? Like, again, find out that information, because information is important, right? Letters of intent, my least favorite thing in the whole world. If I'm being honest, for startups, when someone says, "Oh, I've signed a letter of intent," that actually just makes me literally roll my eyes every single time a startup says this to me. 10% of all letters of intent actually sign. Right, that's crazy. So get them to sign to a nominal amount, part of an MRR, ARR model, whatever it is. Get them to sign up to something low value, and then let them increase over time. Right? Do not just sign people up for the sake of it with letters of intent. They are fake promises, in my opinion. And then the last one is paid growth versus real growth, right? This is a kind of a mixed bag of what I would say for a lot of people, that it's really, really hard to get that right. So what is paid growth? What is that traction? So when the ads stop, or what's happening now in the market is Google is taking an absolute hit. So in turn, people aren't doing as well with Google ads and Facebook ads. So what is it that we can do that can change that, right? What is our real growth? Are we looking, were we doing really well out of ChatGPT, as an example, or where is our growth coming from? And make sure that we can show that to investors as well. That's very clear of, look, this is our paid growth, this is our real growth. And then the celebrity angel trap, again, an interesting one enough, but again, we be prepared for, if you're trying to get a famous person or a famous angel on board or whatever that may be, right? Make sure that you know what you're doing there. It's a marketing play. You're not expecting to get them strategically involved, or they're not looking to invest any cash. Typically, when we're looking for certain angels, be careful about what your expectations are. If they're a big enough name, they sometimes don't even have to invest to get some type of information. And then real traction signs, right? What are we really looking for, right? Monthly recurring revenue, daily users, weekly users, net revenue retention, organic words, so people actually doing it without you paying for it, and then customer acquisition cost at a lower point. They are the magic truths, right? So calculate them based on real numbers, right? So again, if I have 10,000 users, remove all of the free users, right? If I've got 5 pilots, again, use the multiplier effects that we've talked about in the above episodes, right? Or the above, the above here, and then talk about them and see where we're actually at, right? So a typical startups claims to have 1 million in ARR, but after you remove all of these truths, which is what a VC is going to do, and they're going to ask you these questions and they're going to find out the truth anyway. Give them the real numbers in advance. You'll find out they actually only had 50K of revenue, right? So again, important things to summarize really quickly: real revenue, active users, paying customers, organic growth. Forget about press features unless there's a hook to get them in, program selections, awards, and so on and so forth. And as I said, this beautiful piece was brought together by Burrick. I will send you guys over the link to sign up for this piece of content, which I truly believe is massively important for startups. It's called the naked truth about your traction. Yeah, thank you for joining me again on this week's episode, and I will see you again next week.